time to laugh, to win, and to live the thrill of the action.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. What the hell's going on out here?
No idea what's going on, but I am excited.
Every pick, every play, every game-changing moment.
Unbelievable!
This is You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Good morning. Welcome into the show. My name is very happy to be here with you, filling in for my guy, Nick Costo. And we got a lot of things to get into on this wonderful, wonderful Friday. We are going to talk some. That show is called You Better Bet. Somebody out there has to explain to me how the Cleveland Cavaliers are the favorite in the Eastern Conference. We also are going to talk about if you gave me one free bet in the NBA, what I would place. We'll talk about the Los Angeles, talk a little NFL. The Dolphins are trying to talk about no one wants to trade for Tua. It was the Cowboys are going to put the franchise tag on George Pickens. There is certainly a lot to get into. Where I would like to begin filling in for my guy, Nick Costos, is a couple of. Let's start in the world of college athletics. Now, I don't need you guys on this Friday morning that college sports is broken. Now, as it has possibly ever been with the college football playoff. You look at how great this college basketball season has been, all the anticipation when it comes to freshman class, what that looks like in the NBA draft. There is a lot to love about college athletics. It also appears to be broken in a lot of different ways. So what happens? Politics get involved. There was a report yesterday from Yahoo Sports. The president of the United States is calling a roundtable for March. Let me tell you of people who have been to the table. Tiger Woods, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Condoleezza Rice, Adam Silver, all four commissioners from the Power Four teams. Tim's going to be there. Notre Dame's athletic director is going to be there. The chairman of ESPN, there is a really important people that are to be at the table. Now, it is important to note, there is not going to be a current coach that has been invited, at least that we know, round table. There is not a current player that has been invited to this round. That is a different conversation we'll get to at some point. But let's start with the concept of round table. I am all for healthy conversation about the viability of college athletics. Because the way that it is currently settled, I don't know if anybody is happy with the setup that we currently have. A league in which every player is a free agent at season. Viable league. Could the end of every season just say, well, I'm thinking about going to Buffalo, thinking about going to Philadelphia. What if Josh Allen just woke up one day and said, I want to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys? That is the current system that we have in college football. You have kids that play. Got guys that tried to play in the that now want to athletics. Just does not seem like a very viable system to me. Now, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with the transfer, but the analogy I'll make is like ice cream. A lot of you have kids. There's nothing wrong with your kids having ice cream. You go get ice cream with your kids from time to time. You can't let them have every single meal. You know that's unhealthy. Ice cream is a snack. That is a reward for when you've done something correct. That can't be your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have gone too far in the opposite end. I think what we've done in college athletics is we went from the time in which we were unwilling to share any of the resources to college players to now just letting them control the entire system. I don't think that any system can operate and function in that way. To be checks. There have balances. So these are a couple of the ideas that I would propose because we have successful pro leagues. That's what college athletics is. It is a pro league, but we all know what it is. It is pro sports at a very incredibly high level. To treat it like it is a professional league. There needs to be some semblance of a cap. Hey, this is the most money that you can spend in NIL. So it doesn't turn into this arms race. It doesn't turn in, well, Texas Tech has this booster, who doesn't have this booster. No, we are going to share and share alike, like we have in baseball, like we have in the NBA, like we have in the NFL. Now, some of this would require the power to some of the power. You can't have a system in which the SEC feels like it should have this set of rules. The Big Ten has its set of rules, and everybody can just do what they want to do. No, we have to start thinking about the group and not for self. That is NFL has figured out than any league follow. What is good for the Cowboys has to be good for Jacksonville. What is good for the Giants has to be Packers. We are all of one accord. So when we have our television, we're going to sell them as when we do, we're going to sell it alike. We're going to do so when we are looking at this thing. That's just how you have to play it. You have to play it as a team, as a unit. And I don't think a lot of that comes to college. I don't think we're seeing enough of togetherness and creation. So I am with this table, hold all of this, that you are going to see some form of collaboration and answers come from it. I have seen NCAA is they've tried to enact rules that I think people want. I don't think people want former players to be eligible to college basketball. The NCAA has tried to ban and rule against those players. Well, what usually happens is those go to the court system, they then win an injunction, and then they're like to continue to play. I think there is a essentially with this roundtable, we're sitting down with some of the best and brightest minds who played college, coached in college athletics, who ties college athletics, who see the health and viability of it all. I think there is a chance that we could get some answers from this because I think we want the same thing. College football. I love college basketball. I imagine many of you on this fine Friday morning all the same. But the current system that we have does not work. It is not viable long term. You cannot have a system in which at the end of the year, everybody is a free agent. You can't have a system in which you are allowed to play 7 years of college athletics. Structure ultimately the best of everybody. I also want the top story right now in professional sports. I think Angeles Lakers. Now, this is the analogy that I'm. Have you ever been in a relationship and you knew this relationship wasn't going to last for a long period of time? You weren't focused on 5, 6 years down. You focused on having as much fun as you could in the here and now. This is not your forever relationship. No, it's the summer. We're on spring break. Why don't we just focus on having as much as theoretically possible? I tell you that is the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm not worried about Lakers in 2020. I'm not worried about the late 2029. We'll figure it out when we get there. Focusing on the here and now. Absolute disaster that I think this team is. I think this team is built incorrectly in a lot of ways. I'm looking at this team, 4 most valuable, and we can go through. Let's go down the list. Luka, talented as any basketball player in the Luka can't guard people and has a complaining problem. That's your lead. That's your best player. Okay. Now we've seen that you can go to finals with Luka Doncic as your. So you know what? I'll put Luka aside. He's young. He'll grow out of it. But every time Luka Doncic, he is at some point in some capacity when it comes to the officials. You have LeBron James, who is 41 years old, who has been a trash on defense at some point. You got Austin Reeves, who has his own issues. DeAndre Ayton, who just accepted the role that people are asking to have. This is a Lakers team that has clear problems that need to be sorted out. We got to take it. We'll continue talking about the Lakers on the other side. We'll continue to Luka Doncic. Keep it here on You Better You Bet.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
All right, welcome back into
there we
You
go.
Better
We
You
got-
Bet. This is Bill Zimmerman. I'm filling in for Carrington Harrison temporarily. If you were listening to that opening segment, Carrington having a couple technical issues. We're going to get those squared away this segment, but I'm going to carry you here for a little bit while we do. And I think something interesting happened yesterday, and we talked about it a little bit on the show, but it more so kind of happened after the show. And we've been talking about this individual for the last couple of years here on You Better You Bet, and that is Anthony Richardson. And I think this makes for an interesting conversation. I'm going to bring Tyler Morales on here in a second. We're going to talk a little AR, because the bottom line here is the Indianapolis Colts have an interesting quarterback situation. Daniel Jones, they want to keep around. He's got the Achilles injury. We don't know how affected Daniel Jones is going to be in this upcoming season. But at the same time, the Indianapolis Colts, Chris Ballard, and of course Shane Steichen, have given Anthony Richardson permission to go out and seek a trade. And that's very interesting for multiple reasons, because you've got to compromise Daniel Jones, but at the very same time, you're in a situation here where Anthony Richardson, who was supposed to be the QB2 last season, of course, he had the orbital bone fracture, and that put him out for the rest of the season. You had Riley Leonard step in. Obviously, we know the Phillip Rivers story, but all that is set aside here. Anthony Richardson is no longer in the Indianapolis Colts' future plans. They've got Daniel Jones. They've got Riley Leonard. The ship has sailed with Anthony Richardson. So the Indianapolis Colts have punted on a top 5 pick that they had just a couple of years ago. And look, we understand the problems that Anthony Richardson has had here at the NFL level. Of course, he lost a lot of his rookie season with that injury. But here is a guy who has all the tools. Like he is a scout's dream when they look at this guy, with the speed and the arm strength and everything he has going on for him. But Tyler Morales, I want to ask you, when you watch Anthony Richardson, do you see a quarterback that is completely broken, or do you see a quarterback that has tools that maybe a team offering up a day 3 pick thinks they might be able to pull something out of him? Because I have serious concerns if this guy can ever figure out how to play quarterback, not how to throw the football, not all the athletic skills he has, but how to actually quarterback an NFL offense at this level.
So I think he can. The problem is, like, he needs to play. And a lot of these backup quarterbacks, we talk about this all the time. Like, these guys need to play. We talk about this with Trey Lance when he was with the 49ers. I say this with Jalen Milroe, too. Like, he's never going to play for the Seahawks. But these guys need reps. The problem is, if he can stay healthy, I think he could be fine. The problem is he's not never healthy. So we need him to play, and that's the only way he's going to get better. So my thing is, like, this offseason, like a team like the Jets, for example, like Anthony Richardson is only 23 years old. Essentially, you could acquire this guy basically he could be one of your draft picks for this season. You get him into your system, trade a late round pick. Essentially, it'll be like a 4th, 5th round pick. You're taking a flyer on a guy that we've seen the potential from him. We've seen some of the amazing plays he had. It's just that the fact that he can't stay healthy. So I think he definitely can be good. He has a ton of footwork problems. Like, it's not a great sign that Shane Steichen's one of the best offensive coordinators in the league, and he's kind of literally not been able to fix Richardson, which is probably a red flag there in itself. But I think a team should definitely take a shot on this. He's still young. The injury concerns are there, but I mean, we've seen his talent. The arm's incredible. Got to clean up some of the footwork stuff. But I think if a team takes a late round flyer on it, it's essentially like a draft pick for this season.
Yeah, and look, and I think that's interesting. And I'm not saying that no team should make a shot to try and clean up Anthony Richardson and his problems here. The footwork issues can lead to inaccurate passes, and he has been historically bad, like worse since they've been tracking this kind of stuff. Bottom 3 in terms of accurate passes at the NFL level. And this isn't like there were always things like Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick. These are guys when they were talking about, they weren't the most accurate of passers, but they were accurate enough, right? They could complete passes when necessary. They just wouldn't necessarily always lead the guy the right way. They might, we might have to take a couple steps slower down, pivot his body, things like that. That's when they're talking about accuracy issues with quality quarterbacks. That's what they're talking about. Anthony Richardson, look, you need a guy to send a 70-yard strike while rolling out. And, Caleb Williams obviously is the guy you want, but, Anthony Richardson is going to be on the short list of guys that could potentially make that throw. But when you are having a guy running simple patterns, intermediate routes and short routes, that's where he really struggled. And I actually brought this up when we were talking to Kenny yesterday about this. I brought up Josh Rosen because Josh Rosen threw some beautiful footballs. A little bit in Arizona. He did that a lot in Miami. I remember this clip, and it was just someone who put poor Josh Rosen, and it was clips of him just throwing dimes and Dolphins receivers dropping everything. But Josh Rosen is out of the league. I think he's in finance now because he could not handle short and intermediate passing routes, Tyler. And that's where I think Anthony Richardson is this is a guy who didn't have a lot of reps in college, even in high school, like Trey Lance. You brought up Trey Lance. I think that's a perfect guy to talk about. So at the bottom line here is Anthony Richardson, maybe he can get this cleaned up. And I'm absolutely saying, he's worth throwing a flyer at a day, but I wouldn't throw like a second, third, even a fourth round pick. Like this is a 6th round pick to me, kind of an offer if I'm a team to try and fix Anthony Richardson. I don't see anything more than that personally, even with a quarterback tax. And maybe I'm ignorant about that. But the bottom line here is I see him struggling so much with basic throws that I just wonder, can the footwork and those issues be cleaned up enough to make him functional? And I highly doubt that.
Yeah, like I gave the Jets as an example when we just talked about it. Like probably a bad example because he probably needs like proper coaching because you're not getting that with Aaron Glenn and what's going on in the Jets. Like Minnesota would be an awesome fit. I know Nick Costos yesterday said that he thinks Kyler Murray would be a good fit for Minnesota, which I also agree. I mean, we've seen Kevin O'Connell praise Anthony Richardson multiple times, and he's like the quarterback whisperer and fixing these guys all around the league. So maybe we need like a fit for Anthony Richardson. Like I think Minnesota would be awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be it. Like we need him. He needs to play. Like wherever team he goes to, he's got to play the preseason games. He's got to get these reps in. There has been some flashes. Like I think his first game of his career, he was awesome. And then the throw against Houston last year was sick. But yeah, there has to be like a certain situation where he needs to play in. I don't know how many of those are going to be available. Like I don't think Todd Monken and Cleveland are going to be able to fix him. So maybe to be honest, it's just Minnesota as the team that needs to come in and fix him. But it's not a good situation right now. It's almost again like you can't even trade for this guy and just sit him out for a year because he needs the reps. So it's probably like a few teams that need to play him. But yeah, the footwork's a problem, like a real problem. And anytime he runs the ball, he gets injured. So I would take a flyer on him in a late round pick again. Like you can just serve him as like a draft pick and kind of mold him that way. I think Minnesota would be an awesome fit if they want to just throw JJ to the side and just have Kevin O'Connell just like take him in the lab and see if they can fix him. I think that's like an awesome situation.
Yeah, and Minnesota makes a lot of sense. But if I'm Minnesota, and look, I don't know what Kevin O'Connell and honestly, I haven't even drawn a blank on their interim GM names. Obviously, Quessie's been dismissed. I don't know exactly what Kevin O'Connell thinks of JJ McCarthy. There were plenty of signs last year that he didn't think that highly of him, at least the 2025 version. Does he still have hope in JJ McCarthy as a future quarterback? I sit here and wonder exactly where JJ McCarthy's ceiling is, because certainly wherever I thought actually had liked JJ McCarthy coming out of college, the way he commanded an offense, I think I'm already willing to say that opinion was incorrect. But if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, and I understand where you're coming from, Tyler, with Anthony Richardson, you have JJ McCarthy, you bring in Anthony Richardson. To me, I think there's still too much talent on that roster. They went 9-8 last year with one of the worst quarterbacks plays in the league. I don't know exactly where they rank, but that group, like I always bring up the shocking idea that in the year, as Nick Costos would say, in the year of our Lord 2025, Carson Wentz was the best quarterback on an NFL roster. You just can't have that as your situation. So then we sit here and go, it's JJ McCarthy and Anthony Richardson. That's okay if you want to try that. But to me, Anthony Richardson's got to be your QB3. I think they still need to have a veteran. I know the nostalgia says Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, like Nick. There's veterans out there. I wouldn't make Tua be that guy. There's a couple guys you can pick from, but I can't. If I'm the Minnesota Vikings, knowing that I have a roster that is a playoff caliber roster. If they get functional quarterback play, I can't come into this season with only J.J. McCarthy and Anthony Richardson as my and Max Brosmer, whatever it's going to be, as my quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault you for that. Like, I think it's almost safe to assume that J.J. McCarthy is cooked. Like, just like the teammates don't like him, and every time they're asked about him, they don't give him high praise. They don't say like, "Oh, this guy's going to be great in the future." Like, they kind of shut him down pretty quickly. So maybe you're right, Minnesota. How about Miami? I mean, if Anthony Richardson stinks, like, they're tanking anyway. They've gutted their entire roster. They have a brand new coach. They probably want to draft one next year. You bring in Anthony Richardson for like a late round pick, that can be your draft pick for the season. And if he's just terrible and he just gets injured, like, oh well, you're the Miami Dolphins. You probably weren't going to compete anyway, and you get an early round pick, and you just get rid of Anthony Richardson the next year. So I think that could be an interesting spot for him. Maybe Miami trades like a late round pick. Him and Achane in the backfield would be sick, and then Jalen Waddle, if he can complete a pass to Jalen Waddle, would be a sick offense. So I think Miami would be an option. But yeah, Minnesota. Maybe the more and more you think about it, you might have actually swayed my opinion here, because they actually probably do need a veteran there. I agree with you, not Kirk Cousins, because he's kind of cooked. But maybe Anthony Richardson would be suited best for like a team that's like okay to lose, like Miami, like the Jets. I think those could be better situations for him. Actually, now that I'm talking about this, I mean, Miami, like, what are we doing here? You don't have a quarterback. Instead of paying Malik Willis $30 million a year, just go trade Anthony Richardson for a late round pick and see what the hell happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the other thing I would think some of these teams should consider, because if you can do a reclamation project, maybe you can turn Anthony Richardson into an asset. Like you trade a 6 or whatever for Anthony Richardson, get him on your roster. What I'm talking about is a guy like Sean McVay and the Rams, maybe Ben Johnson and the Bears, Sean Payton and the Broncos, guys that aren't looking for a quarterback, but you put him in with really good coaching. Like you said, Tyler, he absolutely needs really good coaching, where you then suddenly you get him functional, you get him put some good tape in the preseason. Maybe he gets an opportunity to do a fourth quarter in a mop-up game, something like that, where he's not going to a QB needy team. He's going to a great offensive coach where there's no pressure to have to play. You've got Matthew Stafford and Jimmy Garoppolo. You've got Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent. You've got, Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham, assuming he's still there. Like, you've already got functional quarterbacks. So you can trade for Anthony Richardson, make him your QB3, coach the hell out of him, see if you can make him functional in like 2027. And then maybe you have a trade asset where you traded a 6 for him and you could get like a 3 for him or a 4 for him, because people are saying, all right, Anthony Richardson is finally starting to put those tools together and turn into a quarterback.
So I guess this could be, listen, I might turn this into an overall like football quarterback philosophy here. Just like, I get what you're saying, like put him as a backup, but like, how are these guys ever going to get better if they just like don't play? That is my thing. Like, this is where we need like the NFL to start loaning guys to, like the UFL, the XFL, and just like they just throw them into like against these car salesmen and just let them cook against some of these awful players. Because I don't know how these guys are getting better if they're just sitting on the bench playing these preseason games. And the preseason games are going down. Who knows how many preseason games are going to be in 2 years? So we're going to even have less games for these guys to play. I just don't see like someone like Anthony Richardson wanting to go somewhere where he's going to be a backup. He's not going to get any better. Like, he needs these guys need game reps. I understand playing in the practice squad, going with the great coaches, but like, it doesn't matter unless you're playing an actual game experience. So I guess this could be a whole quarterback philosophy thing, but to me it's kind of like pointless if you just trade Anthony Richardson. And I guess if you want to get a better draft pick, sure, but why not just play him and just see if you can get any better at this point? I don't understand putting him on a bench and just like maybe trading him for later on. The talent is as high as almost any of the mid-tier quarterbacks in the league. I would think just throw him out there and see if he can get any better, and hope he improves during the practice, because to me, just him sitting on the bench and just like watching film is like not going to do it. Like, he needs to go out there and learn as he's playing. He didn't even start that much in college. Kyle Trask was a starter there, and he played his final season at Florida. So to me, he just needs to play. I think how half of these quarterbacks need to go.
Yeah, and I completely agree with it. And this is why, and I say this all the time, like bar conversations, if I'm just talking. I brought this up to like Tyler, Kenny, and Nick yesterday, like the UFL. And I don't watch a lot of spring football because I can't stand the horrific quarterback play that these spring leagues have. It's not their fault. There's not enough quarterbacks to be in the NFL, let alone in the spring league. I want the NFL partner with the UFL or make their own league and have a spring league. It's going to be like pretty much all practice squad level players, but it's going to be like you can have 4 teams commit 15 guys apiece, have a 60-man roster, and these guys could play. And a guy like Anthony Richardson, you can absolutely trade for a guy like this, get him playing in the spring league, and absolutely get him to get those reps, get him on tape, and maybe you can see if you've got something there. So we're going to take a break because I do believe on the other side, Carrington Harrison is ready to rejoin us. He's got thoughts on Anthony Richardson, but he's got thoughts on Luka. We couldn't really hear those in the opening segment. I'd love to hear what Carrington has to say there. He's got plenty to do. We've got great guests coming up. You better, you bet. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
I want you guys to think of the time that I was out a little bit like Darren Peterson. You know, I came in with high hopes, high expectations, got off to a little bit of a rough start. I had to sit out for quite some time. I had to get the Theragun, had to get a little bit of treatment, had to talk to Coach. Coach yelled at me a little bit. I had to find myself. I had to find my inner peace, and I'm back better than ever. I'm not going to play a full 40 minutes, but I got 34 minutes of quality basketball that I can give you guys. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here with you guys. I think we fixed the technical difficulties. Excited to be here filling in for my guy, Nick Costos, on You Bet or You Bet. I was listening to the last segment, so I want to weigh in, and then we'll basically just start the show over. Happy to be here with you guys. Bill, let's just start with this with Anthony Richardson. The Indianapolis Colts got catfished. I remember back when Anthony Richardson was in Florida and when he was testing in the combine. And if you guys remember, all of the graphics kept showing you Anthony Richardson's physicals compared to Cam Newton's physicals. And everybody was like, oh, you got a chance to get the next Cam Newton. And I remember sitting back and thinking, I mean, I saw Cam Newton play at Auburn, and it didn't look anything like what I saw Anthony Richardson do at Florida. So I don't know why we're making that comparison, but you know how it is. At the combine, you show up, you can run fast, you're strong, you're 6'4", 225, you can jump a long way. Ooh, everybody gets excited. But there was always one thing that was missing with Anthony Richardson. I heard you guys mention this. It was playing experience. Football is unlike any other game that we watch. You can't really practice football in the same way that you can practice basketball. Like, we can grab my 5 friends, you can grab your 5 friends, we can go out and we can play a largely competitive game of basketball. We can go out and we can simulate baseball. Man, there's really no way for you to simulate playing football, not in a healthy and safe way. So if you're a guy like Anthony Richardson, you didn't play when you were a freshman, you threw 2 passes your freshman year, you threw 64 passes your sophomore season, you threw 327 passes your junior year, and then you were a top 5 pick. He was set up to fail from the very, very beginning. Take somebody like Daniel Jones. Now, I don't know what you guys think about Daniel Jones, but I'm not going to come on here and tell you guys like I'm the biggest believer in Daniel Jones. But you know what Daniel Jones did? He played college football. I'll give you the example. Daniel Jones had 1,275 pass attempts in college. Anthony Richardson had 393. We saw almost 4 times more Daniel Jones in college than we saw from Anthony Richardson. So I think what is happening to Anthony Richardson is he was really a 5th-round project that had the physical traits, that was big, strong, could run, could jump, and had all the potential in the world. But because of the quarterback cap, because of the rookie cap, because of the absolute thirst that teams have at quarterback, oh, you just had to get him with the number 4 overall pick. He didn't play enough football to justify him being a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. So a lot of the mistakes that I think he's made so far in Indianapolis, Bill, to me, are just a byproduct of he didn't play enough football. So those youthful mistakes that you make in 500 pass attempts, 1,000 pass attempts, he's now making all those mistakes. He's just making them right now for the Colts.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that, Carrington. There's something about getting reps before you get to the NFL level. It's really important. Like, I bring up this stat because I think it's fascinating. Joe Burrow, his final year at LSU, I think he threw about 530 passes. And that attempt number is more than Trey Lance has thrown in high school, college, and the pros combined. I think that's still accurate, even with a few more pass attempts that he's gotten in the last couple of years. Like, Trey Lance just didn't throw the football, but people fell in love with the tools. Anthony Richardson, like you said, they got catfished. Like, I remember watching Florida football, and they're like, this guy, he's got all the tools. He's going to be a day 2 pick because he's got all the tools. Then I don't remember which NFL draft scout it was, whether it was Jeremiah or McShay or one of these guys. Like, I think it might have been McShay. It's like, no, Anthony Richardson, he's going to be a first-round pick. There's going to be a good team in the 20s that's going to take a chance on developing him. And then he gets to the combine, and he wows everybody with the numbers. And all of a sudden now, he's a top 10 pick, top 5 pick. You know, I heard that, some people had him, some teams had him number 1 on the board because of the tools, but he didn't have the reps. I'm a big guy in reps. Like, I'm a Bears fan. Mitch Trubisky couldn't beat, and now I'm drawing a blank on the quarterback, but Mitch Trubisky couldn't beat out the other quarterback at North Carolina. Then he leaves. Mitch Trubisky, has his senior year that was great, and then the Bears draft him 2 overall. But all he had is 1 year of college. Like, I just think teams, they fall in love with tools. And I know you need to have tools. You need to have tools, but they fall in love with tools and they don't actually sometimes just look at the tape and go, this quarterback is not ready and he may never be ready.
I'm looking at a report right now. Anthony Richardson, his agent, told Fox Sports that he would be open to sitting behind a veteran quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson to learn from them. Anthony Richardson is 23 years old. He'll be 24 years old coming up in May. I don't think that that's a bad option if you're Anthony Richardson. Let's say you sign a 2-year deal in Kansas City. You learn from Andy Reid. Eric Bieniemy's your offensive coordinator. Patrick Mahomes is there. Kelsey's there for another year. There's a chance that Tyreek Hill is there as well. So you're just sitting back, you're learning, you're soaking up all this information, similar to what we just saw with Malik Willis in Green Bay. Who knows what happens? It's the National Football League. The Chiefs clinch. You get a chance to make a start late in the season. An injury happens to Patrick Mahomes. You get a chance to make a couple of starts. You kind of rebuild your career a bit, and then you get the opportunity in the National Football League. I do think one of those scenarios for him where you were just out of the way, you're no longer the 4th overall pick, you're allowed to develop, you're in a good system, I think that could really help Anthony Richardson. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be filling in for my guy, Nick Costos. Why don't we reset things just a bit? What we were talking about in the open before our technical difficulties is the Lakers amuse me. And this is why the Lakers amuse me. We have to stop looking at the Lakers and talking about the Lakers as a team that could do anything. No, this is not a team that can do anything. This is a team that is here for us to argue and debate about. That's it. They have no other purpose. They're not the Knicks. They're not the Spurs. They're not Detroit. They're not OKC or Boston. Those are teams that have real championship aspirations. Those are the teams that we're going to be watching in May and June and are ultimately going to decide who's going to be the last team standing. The Lakers do not fit any of that criteria. I know this, and you know this, but because we have been so trained on we got to talk about LeBron, we got to talk about the Lakers, we are not seeing the bigger picture. This is a team that, as currently constructed, is going nowhere. Your best player can't guard anybody. Your second best player is 41 years old and is clearly on his final season with the team. Their third best player, I like Austin Reeves. I really do. I like Austin Reeves. But if your 1, 2, and 3 can't guard anybody, you're in for a little bit of a difficult time. Now, we have been fighting the same problem with DeAndre Ayton now. This is the third team we've been having this conversation on. DeAndre, you know what your goal is? Your goal should be to run down the court, play defense, rebound, block shots, and when they throw it to you, simple post move, turn around, put it in the hoop. But no, DeAndre Ayton sees himself as Akeem Olajuwon. DeAndre Ayton sees himself as a legitimate scoring post option that the offense should run through him. No, that's not at all what you should be seeing. But this is the team that the Lakers have put together. The analogy I made in the open that if you missed it, I apologize, is this is a relationship that you know is going to fail. But you're so caught up on, is this your forever? No, we need to focus in on the now. We need to focus in on what we have. And you know what we have? We got 25 more games of seeing LeBron in a Los Angeles Lakers uniform. We got 25 more games of drama, 25 more games of storyline, 25 more games of DeAndre Ayton saying they're trying to treat me like I'm Clint Capella. That's because you are Clint Capella. You know what Clint Capella is? Run down the floor, play defense. We're not throwing you the ball unless it's an alley-oop. That's what DeAndre Ayton is, but he doesn't see it. He doesn't know his role. This Lakers team has a group of players that don't know and understand their role. You got a 41-year-old who still sees himself as the 27-year-old superstar, once-in-a-generation talent. You got very little size, and the size that you have doesn't seem to get with the program. And then you have a star player who I think Luka is one of the worst things that you can be. Now, from a talent perspective, I think Luka is as talented as any basketball player that we've ever seen. But I want to play a couple of pieces of audio for you guys just to give you a little bit of a better idea. There's a lot of things that someone could call you that could trigger you. We call them go words. Like, you might not even know this person, but if you were just out at the bar and somebody walked up to you and they called you this term, you would just instantly have to fight this person. You don't really know why you have to fight this person, but he said the magical words that would make you want to fight him. I think we are starting to grow in our society that being called a Karen is one of those words. If somebody just comes up to you, doesn't know you, never met you before, and just said, you know what? I think you're a Karen. You would want to fight this person. Hold on, what do you mean? I think we're learning that Luka Doncic is a basketball Karen. We've had this information for quite some time. Now, this first piece of audio I want to play for you guys, this is back when Luka was on the Mavericks. This is when Luka was competing for NBA championships. This was during the NBA Finals. Brian Windhorst tried to tell you Luka was a basketball Karen. Play it for me.
Yeah, I thought it was perfect that Luka fell onto the ground there in an unacceptable position to put himself in with 4 minutes left with 5 fouls, and then immediately looks at the bench and says, you better bleeping challenge it, as if it's the bench's fault that he just made a terrible play. If Luka's ever going to be a winner coming out of this tunnel here, he is going to have to use what's happened in this finals as a learning experience. His defensive performance is unacceptable. He is a hole on the court, and you've got a situation here where Luka is complaining about the officiating. They have begged him. They have talked with him. They have pleaded with him. He is costing his team because of how he treats the officials.
So this was Brian Windhorst back during the NBA Finals. He can't guard, and he complains to the officials way too much, but maybe this is a learning experience. Now, I was willing to give Luka a little bit of time. Luka was young. Luka still is very young. I was willing to give him a little bit of time. But Luka has, never committed a foul, and every time Luka drives to the basket, he believes that he is fouled. Now, I am a major believer that teams take on the personality of their leader. That if your leader is a first to show up, last to leave kind of guy, that energy permeates through the rest of the group. If your leader is a complainer, you know it leads to everybody else being a complainer. So that was back in the NBA Finals. That was a little bit ago. It wasn't that long ago, but it was a little bit ago when he was with the Dallas Mavericks. Now I want you to fast forward to this week. Zach Lowe, who is one of the most respected voices in the NBA, he, like a lot of people, he's had it with Luka Doncic.
The whining is back at just peak / Nadir Dallas levels. Just play, man. Not everything is a foul. And it's almost like, are you playing to draw a foul or are you playing basketball? Like, which one are you doing? Are you playing one-on-one and like with the refs, or are you playing a game? It's every single possession now. It's completely out of control.
Luka Doncic is a basketball Karen. That's what he is. We all have that person in our life, our friend, that just has a magical ability of taking something that's really, really small, that you should just let it go. It's not that big of a deal. Why do you need to bring the manager over here? Was this necessary? You're embarrassing me. It's not that big of a deal. No, but they got to make it a big deal. They got to go talk to the manager. They got to complain to somebody about it. They got to take a 3 and they got to make it a 9. That's who Luka Doncic is. That's what we know about him. There are a lot of great things about Luka. This is something that we have known for quite some time. For whatever reason, this combination of the Lakers doesn't work. It doesn't work. You know it doesn't work. I know it doesn't work. They have to know it doesn't work. Take a look at the Western Conference. Take a look at the teams that you think can legitimately make a run at this thing. Take a look at the teams that you legitimately think have a chance to win a championship. And ask yourself if you think the Lakers are a part of that group. The games that they have lost this week have been embarrassing. There's no other way to put it. They have been embarrassing this week when you look at the level of competition. Can I read to you guys really quickly who was starting for the Phoenix Suns this week? It was Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, Mark Williams, Colin Gillespie, and Jalen Green. That's who was the starters for the Phoenix Suns. Wouldn't even got to go to the bench. Those are the guys that started for them. When you had LeBron, you had Luka, you had DeAndre Ayton, you had Marcus Smart, you had Austin Reeves. We know 5 of these guys. We don't know the other 5. They lost to that team. The Lakers are a half game ahead of the play-in right now. They're a half game up from the play-in. This is not a championship level team. They are not warranted with the level of conversation that we have had about the Los Angeles Lakers. But I get it. They got Luka. They got LeBron. They got J.J. Redick as the head coach. It's L.A. It's glamour. It's Hollywood. It's the in for LeBron. They got a basketball Karen and a 41-year-old superstar. That is not a great combination. Let me remind you guys that this segment is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save on commercial auto insurance from Progressive. Get a fast quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Go check out our friends over at Progressive. Coming up at the top of the hour, I want to ask you guys this question. At some point this NFL season, we are going to have that first wow story. They come in waves. We had them during the coaching cycle. We learned about the Baltimore Ravens moving on from John Harbaugh. We then saw that he was going to the New York Giants. The Buffalo Bills made the decision to move on from their head coach and upgrade Joe Brady from offensive coordinator. We're going to go around the room here in just a bit, and we're going to ask the guys, what do you think the first wow move of the offseason is going to be? And as we are wrapping up the combine and the league year starts on March 11th, we are not that far away from having that first big domino that drop, that thing that dominates your group chat conversation. Every single NFL podcast, every single sports talk show is going to be talking about it. We are not that far away from having that conversation. My name is Carrington Harrison. Really happy to be here with you guys on this wonderful Friday, filling in for my guy, Nick Costos. We got some college basketball to get to in the course of today's show. We saw a 3,000% uptick in people watching Miracle this past weekend with the gold medal won by the United States. We'll talk about that as well, and we'll continue to talk about the NBA and get you ready for the final stretch as we are getting closer and closer to the playoffs. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here filling in for You Better, You Bet.
and to live the thrill of the action.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. What the hell's going on out here?
No idea what's going on, but I am excited.
Every pick, every play, every game-changing moment. This is You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Good morning. Welcome back into the show. My name is Carrington Harrison. Very happy to be here with you, filling in for my guy, Nick Costos. Let's switch gears just a little bit, and let's talk a little bit of NFL. So breaking news in the National Football League comes in waves. We had breaking news when it came to the coaching cycle. The Ravens let go of their head coach, who has been very, very successful. He won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. I also think it was a little bit of a surprise that Buffalo let go of a very successful head coach in Sean McDermott. Now, I understand they have hit their head on the glass ceiling. You can only do that so many times. And when you have maybe the best quarterback in the National Football League, you're moving into a new stadium, and your quarterback is now turning 30 years old, you got to make some tough decisions. Buffalo made that decision. Those were stories that hit your group chat in like a monsoon. Oh, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe the Ravens did this. I can't believe that the Bills did this. What do you think the next move like that is going to be? Because those are coaching moves, and that is expected once the season ends. But as the combine is starting to wind down, and as we are getting closer to the start of the league year, which begins on March 11th, there's going to be a trade that happens over the next 2 weeks. This is a little bit of a slow period. You know, we're done complaining about the NBA, which is always on time after the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is ended, and maybe you just finally woke up from the slumber that game was. This is a little bit of a dead period. College basketball is having a very exciting regular season, but some people aren't going to really get things kicked up until March. So it's a little bit of a void. But we all know that the news is coming. The World Baseball Classic is coming. We had the Olympics to kind of get us through that stretch. March Madness is 2 weeks away. The news is coming in sports. I'll tell you what I think the next big breaking news story is going to be. I think A.J. Brown's about to get traded. I think it was kind of clear this offseason that it wasn't going to work with them last year, but the Eagles won a Super Bowl. So when you win a Super Bowl, you're not now going to make a decision that rocks the boat, so to speak. So they decided to bring everybody back. It never really came together for this Eagles team, really at any point this season. It always felt very disjointed. I believe the Eagles should have moved on from A.J. Brown at the deadline, but I understand they wanted to hold it together. We still got our quarterback. We still got our running back. We have all of our pieces. If our defense can gel together, we think we can make another run at the Super Bowl. They lost to a team that was a MASH unit at the end of the season in the San Francisco 49ers, and now I think there's going to be a bit of soul searching. I don't know if there is a scenario in which the Eagles can move forward with Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and A.J. Brown. Somebody has to go. And I believe that we're going to find out at some point here in the next 10 days. I think a team with a quarterback on a rookie contract is going to push their chips in the middle and make a significant trade. I'm looking at a team like the Denver Broncos. Denver should really feel like they should have been in the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know if they would have beat Seattle or not. They would have been an underdog in the game for sure. But a healthy Bo Nix gives the Broncos a chance in the Super Bowl, certainly a better chance than that effort we saw from the New England Patriots. The Patriots, they should feel like they were a year ahead. I don't think that was a great Patriots team by any means, but they got the right break of everything. The AFC broke their way. Drake May had a fantastic year. The schedule broke their way. The Bills were a little bit of a worse team than we expected them to be. Their division was worse than I think most people expected them to be. It was the right combination of everything that, in my opinion, turned a 9-10 win team into a team that was able to make the Super Bowl. But there are clear upgrades that I think the Patriots can make. And one of those upgrades is that skill position, and one of those upgrades that they can make is a wide receiver. I don't think the Patriots have great weapons, but if you can package a second-round pick, a 2 and a 5, and go make a move to go get A.J. Brown, and you can pair him with your young quarterback, I think that's a really, really positive push. So I'm looking at two teams. If I'm Philadelphia, that gets him out of the NFC, that gets him over to the AFC, we get a pick from the Broncos or we get a pick from the New England Patriots. I think those are two teams that make a lot of sense. I also could see Buffalo being a team, again, new head coach, wanting to make a splash, general manager who might feel like he's on the hot seat just a little bit, new stadium. You need to do something big, something shocking, something that really grabs the headlines. I think we're going to find out in the next 10 days that A.J. Brown is going to get traded to a team in the AFC. Let's go around the room here on You Bet or You Bet and get everybody's opinion. What do you think that first player breaking news story is going to be? Bill, let's start with you. What's your prediction?
All right, Carrington. I like your A.J. Brown one. That was one I was contemplating going. I think the obvious one, a lot of people would say, is Max Crosby, and maybe one of the guys will. I'm going to say that Max Crosby is not dealt, at least not right away. I think, Clint Kubiak just got there, see if they can figure things out, see if Max's head will cool off a little bit. Maybe by the time they start approaching the draft, if they're still in trouble, maybe Max Crosby gets moved. I'm going to say Max Crosby does not get moved, at least before the start of the free agent year. So I'm going to say two things here, because one, I don't know if it qualifies as that big head-turning move. It probably would have 2 years ago, but not the way he's played the last 2 years. I think the Chicago Bears are trading DJ Moore. I think they're going to trade him in the next 8 days. And if you want a prediction on a team, I'm going to say the Tennessee Titans, where it can kind of be that Justin Fields relationship that DJ Moore had in terms of just Justin Fields spamming DJ Moore and just throwing him the ball constantly. Cam Ward doesn't have a great target. Cam Ward could do that with DJ Moore, and I think DJ Moore could see a spike in his targets again. And the other one, and again, is it a huge name? I don't know, but I don't know other than A.J. Brown and Max Crosby if there's a really juicy name that I think potentially can get moved. I'm going to say Kyler Murray is moved before the start of the new year. And I think because these are the type of moves this franchise constantly makes that never seem to work out because they can never get things pointed in the right direction, I'm going to say Kyler Murray is a member of the New York Jets.
I like those predictions. I will say this before we continue to go around the room. If I'm a wide receiver and I got traded to the Tennessee Titans, you got to contemplate retirement. Just look at the last 10 years. If you get sent off to Tennessee, that's the end of your career. Julio Jones, that was the end of his career. That was the end of the career for DeAndre Hopkins. Randy Moss, if you remember, he ended his career with the Tennessee Titans. That's where wide receiver dreams go to die. If they make a play for you, you're done. You're cooked. You got to go home and be a family man. You got to go get a job at NFL Network. You got to go work for ESPN. You're done out here. I do like the DJ Moore move. I do think he's going to be traded. The Max Crosby thing, let's go back and forth on this Max Crosby thing for a bit. If you're the Raiders, you just need to acknowledge where you are as an organization. You need to look 100%. At your division, and I think you have to kind of look at the model that the Jets have. Now, I hate coming on here with Nick Kostos and saying you should be more like the Jets. But you know what the Jets realized? We're not going anywhere. So let's take Quinnen Williams. Let's get something for him. Let's trade Sauce Gardner. Let's get something for him. So now the Jets are probably going to have, Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterback this year. Let's try to get the number 2 overall pick. And sometimes you got to tear it down to build it back up. The Raiders are building some nice pieces. They're going to get their quarterback here in a couple of months. They got a running back that most people like. They got one of the better tight ends in the National Football League. Let's continue to stockpile draft picks and young players. And let's not be the Jets, but this is how the Lions got good. The Lions got good because they hit on draft picks, and they all hit at the exact same time. They got the right coach, the right draft picks, the right general manager. Why can't the Raiders be more like the Lions?
I'm 100% with you. If I am the Las Vegas Raiders, I am trading Max Crosby. Get as much draft capital as you can and move on. This is a guy who's getting closer to 30, and they're almost certainly having Mendoza. They're hitting reset, right? So if I'm the Raiders, I trade Crosby, and I've said this before, but I think this is the best idea for the Raiders moving forward. You're going to draft Mendoza 1 overall, presumably. Trade Crosby, get draft capital. Spend your entire offseason beefing up the offense. Get tackles, guards, improve your offensive line, like what the Bears did last year with Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson and Drew Dahlman. Fix your offensive line, maybe go out and get another receiver, DJ Moore. Again, a guy like that you could bring in for Mendoza, another reliable target to go with Bowers and Tucker. Who cares if you go 4-13 and lose every game 31-24? Get a functional offense around Mendoza, then worry about trying to stop people in 2027 and 2028. But don't put Mendoza in a terrible situation with no offensive line where he's David Carr. Like, don't do that to him. So that's my thought for the Raiders. Trade Crosby, fix the offensive line, spend as much money as you have to. They got plenty of money. Maybe get another target, and just don't even worry about the defense. Just draft a bunch of day 2 and day 3 guys and throw them to the Wolves and see what you got.
So right now we're talking about there's going to be one big breaking news story in the National Football League, one that leads First Take. Every podcast is talking about. Your group chat goes crazy once somebody throws it in there. What do you think that move is going to be? I think it's going to be that A.J. Brown's going to get traded here in the next 10 days. We were just talking to Bill about it. He actually thinks that Max Crosby is going to stay in Las Vegas and thinks that Chicago is going to move on from DJ Moore. Tyler, I want to get your opinion on this. Where are you at? Who do you think, or what do you think the next big move in the National Football League is?
I actually think this move is going to be like the first quarterback domino, which if I said this like 2 years ago, you'd be like, what kind of drugs are you on? But I think Malik Willis is about to get a large number for some type of team. I'm going to project the Miami Dolphins. These reports are coming out that he's going to get 30 to 35 million. Like, I completely believe that. I think a team so they can pay him a ton of money. They're going to have him as his quarterback for the next 1 to 2 years. And I'm going to project the Miami Dolphins to be the team for Malik Willis. In terms of maybe like a bigger name, I think Mike Evans is going to sign with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills like need to completely gut that receiving room. Also, like they can't stop losing. They can't beat Mahomes. They can't get over the hump. They need to start bringing in some like winners in this locker room. Like guys that have done it in the past. They kind of like just change the mood of this locker room because everyone on this team, it's the same players and they've just gotten beaten down every single year by the same teams. So I think it's a person like Mike Evans could start a whole new culture for this team. And obviously he's a great receiver. And that's someone Josh Allen's desperately needed since Stephon Diggs has left. So Mike Evans to the Bills, and I think Malik Willis is about to get paid so much money it's going to shock everybody by the Miami Dolphins.
If we had the Price is Right music, I would play it right now. Do you know how many passes Malik Willis has thrown in his NFL career without going over? Like closest to the number without going over. If his pass attempts were a refrigerator at Best Buy, what number would you guess?
So Vrabel like didn't let him throw it all on Tennessee. So I'm going to go with the Pack. I'll say like maybe like 155 with the Packers.
You cheated. There's no way you got that right on the nose. There's no way that you're walking out of here with that 155 passes in his career. He's about to make $30 million a season on 155 passes. He's thrown 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The crazy thing is, I don't disagree with you. There is absolutely going to be a team that sees what he did in the final stretch with the Green Bay Packers and makes a significant commitment. One of the problem is, and I use problem very loosely here when we look at quarterback contracts, is there really is no middle. You are either a guy who's gotten paid, you are a young guy who is about to get paid, or you're just a high-level backup quarterback. Like, there really isn't that market that's really developed for a guy like Malik Willis that you're really ready to take a chance on. Maybe you would argue that's what the Justin Fields contract was last year at 2 for $40 million, and you maybe use that as a little bit of a framework for what we're talking about. But just from the outside looking in, Baker Mayfield makes $34 million a year. If your plan is to pay Malik Willis similar to what Baker Mayfield's going to get paid, or similar to what Sam Darnold is making from the Seattle Seahawks, who signed a 3-year, $100 million deal, that just doesn't really sound to me like a great strategy. But it's the Miami Dolphins. They haven't had a good quarterback since Dan Marino. Kenny, I want to get your take on this before we step aside here. We're all going around the room and saying what we think our big prediction is in terms of a player move. What's yours? What do you think the next big Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport tweet, what do you think it's going to be?
Well, I do agree with you that it will be A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots, but off the heels of that, you know how he's got something up his sleeve. And I think Brian Thomas Jr. will be a Philadelphia Eagle next year off the heels of the A.J. Brown trade. So A.J. Brown gets traded, and to replace him, to pair up with Devontae Smith, Brian Thomas Jr.
Coming up on the other side, we're going to talk a little bit of college basketball. This has been a really, really exciting regular season. We're going to talk to Brad Evans about that coming up in just a bit. And the NBA could take some clear notes from college basketball. We'll get to it. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here filling in for Nick Costos on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
I have had a very weird relationship with college basketball. I loved college basketball growing up. It was my absolute favorite. There was a time there where, it was unwatchable at times. It really was. But you know what? The transfer portal, conference realignment, and NIL, they've really boosted some life into college basketball. I find myself every night. There's a great game in the SEC. There's a great game in the Big 12. There's a great game in the Big 10. I'm excited for this March Madness. Let's head to the phone lines right now to talk to Brad Evans about the exciting college basketball regular season that we are having. Brad, how you doing today, my man?
Hola, amigo. The madness. I can smell it.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm happy to hear that. All right, let's just start with this. I'm excited about this tournament because I'm looking at the top and the high-end talent. And I'm looking at this freshman class. I'm looking at the coaches that are at the top. I think we're headed towards a very, very competitive March. Is that how you're feeling as we're heading into the tournament, as we're 2 weeks away from Selection Sunday?
Oh, absolutely, man. The ballyhooed freshman class, I think, is first and foremost in everybody's mind, especially the NBA GMs and the various NBA teams that are utterly tanking as we speak in anticipation of getting their pick of the litter because AJ Debonsa is absolutely a baller and shot caller. Of course, we've been talking about Darren Peterson until we're blue in the face. Cam Boozer, Darius Acuff has really shown up and show out. And tonight in Champaign, a member of the ILL, Keaton Vogler, going up against mighty Michigan in an island matchup, really. Got to be front and center, and a lot of NBA GMs are foaming at the mouth of his prospects, and the list goes on and on. It is an incredibly deep freshman class, incredibly deep amount and pool of talent in the college game overall. And as a result, it is booing some of those top seeds and some of the marquee programs that are out there. So, yes, I think the madness is going to be wild. It's going to be somewhat wacky. I don't think we're going to have as many upsets as we've seen in previous tournaments. But chalk, when it begins to reign supreme in the second weekend, those matchups are going to be memorable. Those matchups are going to be stellar. When I say I can smell the madness in the air, I can't wait to taste it.
That's interesting you say that. I'm curious to get your opinion as somebody who loves college basketball. Right now, we're talking to Brad Evans. I do think in the course of kind of reshuffling the deck chairs, so to speak, when it comes to college basketball, I think we've killed off Cinderella. If you are a mid-major and if you have any talented player, that player is immediately going to transfer to one of the Power Four teams. And just with the amount of turnover and money that is generated by the Power Four, NIL, transfer portal, etc., I just don't think the mid-majors can keep up. I do wonder, as we look at the health and viability of the NCAA tournament, it's always going to appeal to the hardcore fans. I do wonder, is the tournament going to be less appealing for the casual fans that I think in a lot of ways we have killed off Loyola Chicago. We have killed off Sister Jean. We have killed off all of those stories that make March so special.
Yeah, to a certain extent. And it's a single elimination format. Anything can happen on any given day. I'm not saying that Cinderella is not going to don a glass slipper anywhere. I think somebody is going to upset a major program. And I'll give you a case in point. Say the other Bruins, not the UCLA Bruins, but the Belmont Bruins from the Missouri Valley Conference. That is a team I'll have projected right now on my bracket big board, which you can view for free now, updating through Selection Sunday on my free site, thegamingjuice.com. I got Belmont as a number 12 seed, matched up currently with North Carolina. Of course, the mighty and blue blood Tar Heels. Probably going to have Caleb Wilson back in time for the Duke game. That is what he's aiming for. So should be A-okay, of course, at the start of the NCAA tournament, but that could be a classic 12-over-5 matchup because Belmont is number one in the country. An effective field goal percentage. Offense shoot over 40% from way downtown. Decent defensively. Have a little bit more size than a lot of mid-majors out there. So the Cinderella story ain't completely dead. yeah, the pumpkin carriage may arrive quickly in the round of 32, but a team like Belmont, I think, will carry on the tradition of possibly a 12 over 5 or at least a double-digit seed, not a 10 over 7, not 11 over 6, but going from those 12 seeds or lower, upending what largely is perceived as possibly an NCAA tournament favorite.
Right now, we're talking to Brad Evans. Let me remind you guys that there is no better place to be during March Madness than in Las Vegas. This year, college basketball fans, you can win a VIP trip to the Court of Legends event featuring the Cavender twins. Simply place your sports bet and position on the leaderboard will determine if you win one of the 25 grand prize packages. Just sign into your BetMGM account, opt into the promotion, then start placing sports bets of at least $10 to climb the leaderboard. Make this March one to remember. Join the Court of Legends leaderboard and make it legendary. Brad, give me a team that you think is overvalued as we are heading into March. Give me a team from a Power 4 school. We'll separate the mid-majors a bit. You mentioned Belmont as a team. Give me a team that you think is overvalued in the Power 4. Give me a team that you think is undervalued heading into March that you think people are not talking nearly enough about.
All right, team that I feel right now is overrated was in action last night, and they fell short on their home floor yet again, which has become a disturbing trend for them against meaningful competition. That is the Purdue Boilermakers, and I know Braden Smith is one of the best point guards, if not the best point guard in college basketball. A guy go out there, get you, 15 points, 20 points in a game, drop 10 to 15 dimes. He does that routinely. Trey Kaufman-Wren is a bruiser in the interior in his own right, but they have got gross inconsistencies from a lot of the tertiary options or some of the supportive cast, whether it being Oscar Clough, who actually played pretty well last night against the Spartans. Fletcher Lawyer has been a roller coaster ride all season long. And the other big issue I have with Purdue, really two of them. One, they don't have a whole lot of athleticism. And two, defensively, they're a sieve. They are north at number 250 in the nation in effective field goal percentage defense over the last 30 days. So PU could be quite stanky in the early rounds. I think they're going to be lucky to survive the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. Have projected right now as the highest number 3 seed. So don't be surprised that they get bounced early in the big dance. And a team I still feel is undervalued right now, the Florida Gators. I grabbed a ticket on them at BetMGM a few weeks back at 13-1 to win back-to-back national titles. I just elevated them from the highest number 3 seed in light of the Michigan State win over Purdue last night to the lowest number 2 seed for the Florida Gators, but they are still in the 1 seed conversation. They can win down the stretch, and of course, they got a monster matchup this weekend at home, taking on John Calipari's Arkansas Razorbacks. They have the best front court in the country, and the key to this team is a guard play. Boogie Flynn and Xavier Lee, all you need is one of those guys, just one of them, get you 15, 20 points per game. They really become more consistent down the stretch, making their shots inside the arc and outside. If they get that steady production from the backcourt, the Florida Gators could be cutting down the nets yet again.
I'm feeling good that I've got UConn at a 17-1 ticket, so I feel like I'm in an even better position than you are with Florida at 13-1. I love having UConn at 17-1. Right now, we're talking a little college basketball with Brad Evans. Let's talk about the mid-majors. How much of a believer are you in St. Louis? How much of you are a believer when it comes to Miami of Ohio? And do you think that either one of those teams can find themselves in the second weekend in March?
All right, well, let's start out with the Miami, Ohio. Apparently, your boy has stirred the pot on social media, on X, at Noisy Huevos is the handle. I put out what I felt was a rather benign tweet about their overall NCAA tournament resume, and I said the selection committee would be hypocritical if a Miami, Ohio team did not earn the auto berth, and of course, that is very much on the table there in the MAC conference tournament. Let's say they get to the final. Maybe they don't even get there. They lose in the semifinals. I said I don't think they get in the NCAA tournament. I'm trying to read the minds of the selection committee members. They've got a strength of schedule north of number 340. They have not played a single Quadrant 1 opponent all season long. Hell, they've only played one Quadrant 2 opponent. 14 of their wins have come against Quad 4 opponents. And I know it's kind of a scatter shot of where they rank in the advanced metrics right now. The WAB, wins above bubble, which everybody is fascinated by right now. They're a top 30 team. Okay, that's an encouraging measurement. They're in the high 40s in overall net. But you look at KenPom, you look at Bart Torvik, they're outside the top 75. So I am fascinated to see what the committee does and whether or not they even get in the dance. Can they win a game? Sure. They got the offensive chops, I think, to do that. But they haven't played a damn soul this year. They haven't played an at-large worthy team at all this year, and they're not going to even through the MAC tournament. So that is a squad in particular that I'm really curious about, and I'm probably not going to have them beyond maybe the round of 32. St. Louis, an entirely different story. The Billikens can fill up the cup. They are top 5 in the country on the season and effective field goal percentage offense and EFG percentage defense. So they got the balance. They play at a fast pace. They can splishy and splash them outside. They have adequate size, and their floor spacing is exceptional. Josh Schertz is going to be one of the hottest coaching commodities by the power conferences of this offseason. Going to be highly coveted guy. He can ride his own ticket to wherever he wants to go. Of course, he did with Indiana State a couple of years ago. Now doing it at St. Louis with Milk Chamberlain on roster. Robbie Avila, who made his name with the Sycamores, transferred to the Billikens, and he's been balling out. So I think that St. Louis team, no matter the draw, and it's looking like they're going to be a 7 seed right now, they could upend a 2 seed in the round of 32, and they could taste sweetness this year. I think they're a second weekend team.
That's funny. You call him Milk Chamberlain. I like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's the nickname that I've gone for when it comes to Robbie. I'll say this, Brad, and we can get out of here with this. We've lost the plot of this whole thing if we're not debating if Miami of Ohio should be in the NCAA tournament. I'm not here advocating that they should be a 2 seed or a 3 seed, but you're telling me that we can't find a nice 7-10 matchup for Miami of Ohio, that they're firmly in the tournament. We can't find an 8-9 for Miami of Ohio. They are undefeated heading into March, and we're debating on whether or not they're a tournament team?
Yeah, we are. It's all about who you played and who you beat. And they do not satisfy either one of those categories. And you might say, well, Travis Steele, was on the phone calling all the Power 4 or 5 members trying to schedule a game, and everybody politely passed. I think that's hogwash. I think it's poppycock. I think it's a heaping pile of BS because you couldn't schedule a road game at Xavier. At Cincinnati, in your own backyard against Dayton or Ohio State, all, a bus ride away from the Miami, Ohio, campus. Again, I find that hard to believe. But again, they have 14 wins against Quadrant 4 competition. They only have 1 game against a Quadrant 1 or 2 level opponent. And of course, they won that game, but they haven't played anybody. If you put them in a power conference, where would Miami, Ohio truly stack up? Probably going to be bottom 3rd team, in my estimation. Now, I could be completely wrong. It's absolutely a hypothetical. But right now, by everything the committee measures, they do not check every box for an at-large. If they get 1 loss, I think they are Dayton bound. They're going to be in the play-in tournament in their own backyard, which could be a saving grace for them. But again, I find it hypocritical based on the requirements the committee puts out every year. If Miami, Ohio, a 1-loss Miami, Ohio team gets in as an at-large because they're just lackluster in what they've achieved this year.
That is Brad Evans joining us on the show today. He is a hater of the mid-majors. That's what we've learned. Thanks, Brad.
Adios, amigo.
That is Brad Evans joining us on the show today. I can't believe what I'm hearing on You Better You Bet. Now, if I have to come on here and fill in for my guy Nick Costos, and I got to stand up for the mid-majors, if I got to stand up for the teams that don't have the voices, well, then damn it, I will. I don't want to participate in an NCAA tournament that will allow Auburn into it, who is 15-13 and 6-9 in the SEC play, and discriminates against a Miami of Ohio. That's not what we got into this NCAA tournament for. We used to love the mid-major, did we not? We used to love Bryce Drew and Valparaiso and hitting the shot. We used to love the Hamptons. We used to love the VCUs and all of these small teams. Now, if Miami of Ohio loses one game, we're not putting them in the NCAA tournament. But we got room for Auburn? They're 15-13. I'm sitting here looking at their wins. Auburn in non-con, Bethune-Cookman, Marymount, Wofford, Jackson State. Miami of Ohio would be 15-13 with this. Chattanooga. This is embarrassing. No, I will not stand for this. I will not stand for this. I'm not going to let them do this. I'm not going to let them do this to Miami of Ohio. I absolutely believe that Miami of Ohio was out making phone calls trying to schedule teams, and teams don't want anything to do with the smoke. They're 28-0. We can't find a nice little 10-seed line for them. We can't find a 10 seed for them. Excuse me. We can't find a nice 7-10 matchup that they can cozy into. You can go undefeated and you get sent to Dayton. That's not even a tournament. You got to still fight your way into the NCAA tournament? No, not on my watch. I'm willing to take it a step further. If you don't finish 500 or better in your conference, I don't think you should be allowed into the NCAA tournament. Auburn's been given every chance in the world to prove that they're an NCAA tournament team. They're not. They're on the bubble. And Miami of Ohio, they got to fight. They got to fight for life? No. We got to stand up and we got to rally around the mid-majors like Miami of Ohio. That's what I'm going to stand for on this show. This show is titled You Better You Bet. So they told me, legally binding, I have to give you guys a bet or they're going to kick me off. They already kicked me off the first segment you heard. They're going to kick me off the show. So what we're going to do on the other side is I think something's wrong with the books. I think they're broken. Like, I think right now the books, BetMGM, whatever app you use, I think it is broken. I'll explain. Keep it right here on You Better You Bet.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
So let me take you guys behind the scenes for just a little bit. So I'm happy to be here filling in for Nick Costos. I got all the love and the respect in the world for Nick Costos. So when they asked me to fill in for his show, I said no problem. They said I had to do two things. Number one, I had to tell you guys that there's no better place to be during March matchups than in Vegas. This year, college basketball fans can win a VIP trip to the Court of Legends events featuring the Cavender twins. Simply place sports bets, and your position on the leaderboard will determine if you win one of the 25 grand prize packages. Just sign into your BetMGM account, opt into the promotion, then start placing sports bets of at least $10 to climb the leaderboard. Make this March 1 to remember. Join the Court of Legends leaderboard and make it legendary. So that was one thing they told me I had to do. So the second thing they told me I had to do is I had to come up with a bet. Now, I don't have my bet yet. We'll get to that at the end of the show. So I'm nervous. I'm scouring the apps and I'm reading and, I want to make a good impression. I want Nick to invite me back on the show. So I'm looking at all the different futures, It's too early to be looking at the NFL futures. Like, if you're already betting the over, I don't know who Pittsburgh's starting quarterback is going to be. How am I betting on their over-under? So I go over to the NBA, and I'm like, all right, the NBA is going on. I've been watching it. I've been following it. I feel like I can make an informed decision. I then clicked on Eastern Conference winner. I saw Cleveland was in the lead at plus 280, and I was puzzled. I was thinking, has my app found a time machine? Like, it can't be 2026. It's got to think that it's 2016. So I went in, I checked my settings, and no, it says it was 2026. Like, all right. So I went back on the app because clearly this was a mistake. And then it said it again. It said Cleveland plus 280 favorite to win the Eastern Conference. And I started thinking, they got James Harden on their team. Nah, this can't be right. This can't be right. So I turned my phone off. I did a hard reset. You know how when you had the old NES and it just was, sometimes you just got to turn it off. You just got to blow into the cartridge and then you got to start the whole process over. You want me to believe, the fine people here on You Better You Bet, Bill, Ty, you guys want me to believe that people are placing real American currency on James Harden in the postseason. Were you in a coma? Where have you been for the last 10 years? You are telling me that there are people among us that get up every day and they work hard. You do construction. You're a nurse. You're a bus driver. Like you're doing something that betters society. You were telling me that you take some of the salary that they give you and then you log into the app and you are thinking, where the best place to invest my hard-earned money in is in May James Harden. Has Vegas shut down? Because as long as the pools are open at Aria, that's where James Harden is going to be. Have they closed down Hakkasan? Because that's where James Harden is going to be in June. You think he's going to be in a basketball gym near you? You cannot tell me, Bill, Ty, you cannot tell me that there are smart people among us that have taken a portion of their salary and have decided to place it on James Harden's ability to guide a team to the NBA Finals. Bill, please tell me this is fake. Tell me something's wrong with the BetMGM app, because that would make sense to me.
Yeah, look, when Harden got there, those odds improved. To me, I know some people say there's two guarantees in life, death and taxes. There are three guarantees in life: death, taxes, and James Harden failing in the postseason. So I am with you 100%. You can't place a penny bet. I wouldn't place a penny bet on James Harden advancing too far. So to me, I've been on the Pistons all season long. That's the Eastern Conference team I've had. I know a lot of people have questions about them, but I don't think the Knicks are going to get there. Sorry, Nick Costos. I'm really coming around on the Boston Celtics. I know they're sitting around plus 325 right now. I just don't see anyone beating them right now, especially even if it's like a 75% Jason Tatum in April and May. I don't know who's beating that team in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Tyler, this is what I don't understand. Because, you've been to Vegas, right? You gamble on these things. You want to know the one thing I don't think that BetMGM needs? It's my donation. They're doing fine. They're doing great without me. I even hate when I go to the casino, and we've all been in this situation. Let's say you've been gambling, right? Like, I like bubble craps. Let's say you're playing bubble craps, right? And then your ticket is worth $27.67. And then you put it into the machine, and it's like, oh, well, do you want your 67 cents? It's my money. Of course I want my 67 cents. So, yes, please give me – I'm not donating it. You donate the 67 cents is what you need to do. If you were placing a bet on the Cleveland Cavaliers to make the NBA Finals, you have made a donation. That's what you have gone to BetMGM and you've made a donation. You've went to the local casino sports book and said, I have too much money. I don't need it. Here, you have it. You cannot, in good conscience, tell me that you have taken a $10 bill, a $20 bill, and you have just decided you don't need it. Go to Chipotle. Go to Chick-fil-A. Go to your local pub. Please do anything else with that $10. Give it to the Salvation Army. Put that $10 in your pocket and wait till Christmas time when they're jingling the bells. Please do not put this on the Cleveland Cavaliers to go to the NBA Finals. This is lunacy is what it is. Tyler, it's madness.
Yes, it is. But, I will say this. The fit is kind of awesome with Cleveland, though. I will say that it's kind of unlocked Evan Mobley. I'm not going to do it.
You're about to talk yourself into it. I see you talking yourself into this could work. No, it is not going to work. It's not going to work.
I'm not going to do it. I'm a Sixers fan. I saw what happened with James Harden and Embiid in the playoffs. The fit is kind of awesome, though. He's kind of more off ball. He gets the load off of Donovan Mitchell's play. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen just catch a ton of lobs. I'm not doing it. I'm not convincing myself. I'm out on the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I do agree with Bill. I think the Celtics, what they're doing is kind of insane right now. Without Jason Tatum, they're coached so well. Jaylen Brown's obviously insane. Peyton Pritchard, I know people don't watch regular season basketball. This guy is turning into something crazy all of a sudden this year. He's phenomenal. The Celtics to beat the Thunder, which it might not happen, is 23-1 at BetMGM. You place that, you get them in the finals matchup. Maybe you hedge a little bit with the Thunder, so you can kind of create and you'll be a winner no matter what. I think the Celtics to beat the Thunder in the NBA Finals is kind of like an awesome price. And if you don't think the Celtics are going to win, just hedge off of the Thunder. But what the Celtics are doing is incredible right now. I don't see anyone in the East stopping them. I'm not convincing myself on James Harden. Do not worry about it. But the fit is kind of awesome. I will admit, kind of awesome.
It's awesome on NBA 2K, sure. If you're somebody that likes to go to the My Park and you're somebody that likes to get a good run, sure. I'm here to help, I'm here to help. I don't know if I'll be back, but I want my time to be memorable. And right now, there was somebody who has a $50 bonus bet. And they're like, oh, I want to play a future. Please do not play that future on Cleveland. Like Bill said, I would love to take the Celtics at 3-1 odds right now. I do think they're getting Jason Tatum back. If you want to play a Spurs to win the Western Conference, there's just better value out there. There is one thing you will never, ever catch me doing. Because we've all been fooled by this so many times in our life. This is not the first time we have been fooled by this. He goes down to Houston. Oh, man, look at everything you got. You got Chris Paul. You got Clint Capella. This is your team. You got Game 6 at home against the Warriors. He is going to put up a 4-for-19 performance, and he's going to be the first one out of there so he can go down to Magic City. We know this about James Harden. Please do not fall for this, people. I want what's best for you. I really do. I want the best for you, and the best for you is not to bet on the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the Eastern Conference. We're going to reset things coming up at the top of the hour. I do want to tell you guys that Chris Berman, he has set a retire date. Now, I'm not really one for AI. I don't really think we should use it. I think it's more negative than good. But there is one thing I would love to use AI for. I wish there was a way that we could get Chris Berman to sit in a room and just read the entire dictionary. And I want him to read the dictionary so whenever he passes, we could just have him and have his actual voice do every single NFL highlight for the rest of our lives. I want him to read every name that we currently have, every word that we currently have. So when Chris Berman is gone, we can take his voice and we can put them on every single NFL highlight. There are certain voices you hear when you think of certain sports. Like when I hear March Madness, I think of Bill Raftery. I think of Billy Packer, for those of you who are a little bit older than me. When I hear baseball, I think of Tim McCutcheon. I think of there's certain guys that I think of when I think of a certain sport. When I think of the NFL, Chris Berman is one of the voices that I hear. Now, I don't ever want Chris Berman to do the home run derby ever again. I don't ever want him to do the home run derby again. But I would love for Chris Berman to do the NFL highlights for the rest of my life. I love Football Night in America. It's not the same as NFL primetime. It's really not. NFL primetime was must-watch viewing. You get done with the 325 game, you go over there, him and Tom Jackson, they would then just go through all the highlights. It was absolutely beautiful. Coming up at the top of the hour, we are going to talk a little bit of sports with our guy Ron the Show Hughley. He does afternoons in Houston. That's all coming up. Keep it right here. My name is Carrington Harrison, filling in for You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Right now, we are having a little bit of fun today. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here with you on this wonderful, wonderful Friday. Coming up in just a bit, we are going to be joined by Ron the Show Hughley. He does radio out of Houston. He's going to be on the show here coming up in a little bit. Really happy to catch up with him and have him join us on the show. We were just talking about the odds right now in the Eastern Conference. And in the Eastern Conference, they have Cleveland right now as the favorite in the East, which just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, I understand that Cleveland is hot right now, but we have seen way too many examples that the regular season version of a team is not the postseason version of a team. So I'm looking at this Cleveland Cavaliers team, and very simple. You want me to believe in James Harden in the postseason? I got way too much evidence that is the absolute wrong thing to do. So I am staying away from them as plus 280. I'm staying away from the Pistons at plus 360. Usually in the NBA, you kind of got to go through cycles. You don't really get to cut the line in the NBA for the most part. Like, you don't get to be the New England Patriots, for example. You don't get to be a 4-win team and then all of a sudden you find yourself in the Super Bowl. It's not really how the NBA works. You're a 35-win team. Then you go to 42 wins, and then you lose in the first round. Then you lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then you go to the NBA Finals. So I kind of think the Pistons got to pay their dues a little bit more. The Cavs have James Harden on their team. I love the Celtics at 3-1. I think that's the best bet you can make in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks, they're the Knicks. I mean, we all know how this story is going to end. Let's head to the phone lines right now to talk to somebody who is very, very familiar with James Harden. Ron the Show Hughley. He does afternoons in Houston. Ron, how you doing today, my man?
I'm good, man. I know you just pissed off a lot of Knicks fans by the way you just flippantly just dismissed them as just being the Knicks. The way you did that, if I was a Knicks fan, I'd be smoking hot the way you just said that.
Ron, they're the Knicks. Come on now. I mean, you tell me you believe in this Knicks team. You were telling me that when we get to May and June, you think the Knicks are going to the – I'm supposed to believe in a team whose best player is 6'1", and their second best player is Karl Anthony Towns, who they have been trying to trade for a year. No, the Knicks are not going to the NBA Finals.
Of course I don't believe that, but the way that you just flippantly, like, I need you to give me, if I'm a Knicks fan, I need you to give me a little bit of an emotion of why you don't believe in us. Not just say, hell, man. The way you broke it down for the Cavs, like, I need that if I'm a Knicks fan. You can't do it just, hell, they're the Knicks, man. Come on, guys.
Yeah, they're the Knicks. So we were talking about this, Ron, and you know this as well as anybody, somebody who has done afternoons in Houston in quite some time. So I'm filling in for Nick Costos. The show is called You Better You Bet. They told me I needed a bet. So I'm like, all right, let me start going through the apps. Let me start figuring it out. So then I go to Eastern Conference winner. And then I see that Cleveland is the favorite. At first, I thought my phone was broken. I thought my phone was back in 2016. I thought something was off with the settings. So I checked. Yes, it said 2026. And then I remembered that James Harden was on their team. There's no chance that you're going to tell me that the favorite in either the Eastern or the Western Conference has James Harden as one of their best players, and you think they're going to win 3 playoff series to get to the NBA Final. There's no shot in that.
In this scenario, I understand it, because just based off what you just talked about, and when you were talking about, I think, the Spurs and some of the West teams, right? Like the Pistons, they got their heart broken last year by those, just the Knicks. And but that's the most of the playoff experience they have. So you can see, they haven't gone deep, even when we thought OKC was going to be really, really good. It took them another year to lose, in the second round before they were able to make that hop. And you look at it, as we just both said, we don't believe in the Knicks. And we'll see what happens with Tatum in Boston, because obviously they have that pedigree, but that's not something I would bet on. But this is a Cavs team that has experience. And then the other part of this is, now this is all dependent on what James feels like being, But James doesn't have to be the focal point, right? Like Donovan Mitchell is the best player. Now, I don't know how much you feel good about Donovan Mitchell leading you, but I mean, against this field, I can understand it because they've been there and they're not relying on Harden to be the Batman. So I can get that from that standpoint.
Ron, I mean, something tells me that. I mean, I'm just going to guess that you spent a lot of afternoons trying to talk yourself into. You know what? This James Harden thing might work, and no, we know it's not going to work.
No, I'm not talking about myself when it's just James. But if somebody else if James is playing second fiddle, like to me, I thought the James and KD thing could work when he's playing second fiddle. Now James, now again, it depends on if James takes a turn in Cleveland and just says, "Yeah, I don't really want to go with the plan." Then you got something else. But this field, I could see how they rise to the top.
I'm going to guess that you're also believing in Buffalo and Josh Allen to break through this year in the NFL.
I do not, because their field is not this one. All right. Now, I'll be honest with you. I thought they had a shot last year when that field broke out, and maybe James will do what Buffalo did. But no, the field is a little different. I mean, it's Cade Cunningham and whoever the two is in Detroit that stops them. James does not have to be great and rise to the occasion for this team to get past the Knicks, Pistons, and the Magic.
Right now, we're talking to Ron the Show Hughley. He is a believer in James Harden and Josh Allen. That's what we are learning far this morning. That's what I love about this. We just got belief everywhere.
That is not what I said. I'm a believer of Donovan Mitchell and the cast and the field. All right. That is what I'm a believer of.
I'll let that slide. So we were talking about this to open up the show today. To me, we spend way too much time worried about the wrong things with the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers are not going anywhere. I know that, you know that, and I think they know that. We just need to enjoy it for what it is. It is a fun experiment that is about to end in about 6 weeks because I think we have enough data. We've been at this now for a year. For whatever reason, Luka and LeBron, this version of LeBron, they just don't really work together. And I think we have an idea of the kind of parts and pieces that Luka needs to be around. We've seen Luka take a team to an NBA championship before, but you need a certain level of athleticism. You need a certain measure of rim protection around him in order to make that work. And the Lakers, they can no longer build for a team with LeBron. They need to build a team around the strengths and weaknesses of Luka Doncic, and that is clearly the future for this team.
I'm going to tell you, as somebody who is the biggest LeBron James fan this side of Gloria James, I'm not having very much fun watching this. I don't know what kind of fun experiment you're watching. I sat there and just turned to doing dishes last night after watching what they did in the second half against the Suns that had Grayson Allen, who was leading the charge to beat them. Listen, it doesn't work. Austin Reeves in there, when you start to put that many bad defenders in there, and then you say to yourself, let's get another bad one in here and a guy who doesn't really give a rip. You never know how he feels, a guy who turned down a ride to the arena in a snowstorm. They didn't want him to drive, but DeAndre Ayton turned it down and just missed the game and refused to go. They got that guy added onto it. I watched them on a break. Nobody got inside the 3-point line on a fast break, and they all turned around to go catch a Phoenix Sun get a dunk to push the lead to 10 in the fourth quarter. It is just awful. And I can't believe I said this. I brought this up. We talked about this on the show yesterday, and this is very hard for me, right? Like LeBron is at the top for me. It's time, man. It's time. That I know he's still averaging almost 22, 6, and 7, whatever it is, 7 and 5 or whatever. It's hard. This is the hardest it's been to watch him and to see him come down. Like he's getting into third or fourth option territory. The way he looks, it's not all the time. Sometimes he has his moments, but other times you look at it and Carrington is just like, man, bro, he needs to just shut this thing on down. And I think it's time. I've never felt that way. I've wanted to watch him continue to just defy the odds. But Carrington, just watching him, like I'm just like there are times when I feel like Bronny has crawled into his body, and that's where he is. And so I think they need to shut a whole lot down with the Lakers and do what you said with Luka's strength. But I think it's I've never felt it's more time for LeBron to shut it down.
It's just funny to me because we all have been in the scenario where you look outside and you look at the weather and it's raining or it's snowing and you're thinking, I'm not going outside today. I can't imagine doing that as an NBA player. DeAndre Ayton looked outside and saw the weather and said, no, I'm good right here. We got more games coming up this season.
They said we'll send somebody to come and get you. So
he
you
still
don't
said
have
I'm
to
good. He said I'm all right.
He said I'm good.
He said we got snacks, we got Wi-Fi, we got Netflix in here. I don't need to go anywhere. Well, when you look at this team that the Lakers just lost to, like I'm one of those people that believe that we have put together a college team that on a certain night could catch an NBA team. Like that's my sports hot takes, especially with how young the NBA has gotten and how teams shoot threes. The Lakers lost to a team with Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, Mark Williams, Colin Gillespie, Jalen Green, and Grayson Allen, who was 9 of 24 for the field. That team is terrible. You cannot lose to that team, especially when you're fully healthy. You had your normal starting five and your normal bench. There's no reason why the Lakers should have lost to that team last night.
Man, I'm listening to the announcers talking about, man, they've got 21 threes. Hell yeah, they do. They're just standing alone. That's the only thing that any of those guys can do, just standing. There's one time with the game and the balance, and Luka and AR got caught on a switch, and they both just ran to the middle of the paint and just left Grayson Allen by himself to just shoot a wide open three. They do that routinely, man. It is ridiculous. I don't know how they're the 6th seed. I really don't. I mean, this sounds crazy. It feels like one of the three, specifically not Luka, but it feels like one of the three needs to get injured because they seem to play better when it's just two of them. Because it is just, oh my God, it is a rough watch, an absolute rough watch.
I just thought of this. You know what the best thing would be for the NBA is? The best thing for the NBA would be for the Lakers to be last year's Mavericks and to get the number 1 overall pick. That's what we need.
Yep.
With all this conversation about tanking, you know how mad people would be if the Lakers got the number 1 overall pick and then they compare Luka with any one of these talented freshmen in college basketball? I'm always here for just NBA calamity. That's what we need.
Yeah, could you imagine the Darren Peterson story going on over there to L.A.? That would be fantastic. Yeah, man, it's like they just have the amount of don't give a rips that the Lakers have defensively is just it's not even that it's not only that they're just not really good defenders when you put LeBron at this age right now and Luka. I mean, when you got Grayson Allen hunting the Luka switch and just going past you, and you knew they tie the game. I'm sitting there like they're gonna get a good shot. It's just if they're gonna make it, and somehow they get the switch, and Grayson Allen immediately goes past Luka and creates a situation of help. And Royce O'Neal is standing by himself for 5 minutes for an open three. Like it's not even that they're bad; they just don't even give a damn sometimes to even run back. None of them. It is. When you've lost Marcus Smart defensively, like you got a problem. That's the only thing he does.
Right now, we're talking to Ron the Show Hughley. He does afternoons in Houston. For those of you that don't know Ron the Show Hughley, he was a lost child. He had a choice. There was a fork in the road. He had a choice to cheer for the Missouri Tigers or cheer for the Kansas Jayhawks. He made the wrong decision in life, and now he cheers for the Kansas Jayhawks. He cheers for the dark side. As a Kansas basketball fan, what has it been like this season to watch Darren Peterson with unlimited PTO?
Listen, the whole situation is frustrating, and it is. I find it really interesting how far it is now taken off. I don't know what happened, Carrington. I'm guessing the NBA All-Star break occurred, but whatever it was 2 weeks ago and that Oklahoma State game, I don't know if he knew it was going to hit the fan or the rest of the program knew it was, but after that day, whoa, it hit the fan, Jack. And it is really fun. And, when we're in this business and you see this happen where it is like kind of a niche thing that now everybody's going to pick up. And now you just hear people coming out with like different things. I have heard the story of him getting sick against Arizona where he came out to warm up and they found out, as Bill said after the game, probably an hour before the game that he wasn't. That has been dwindled down to 2 minutes before the game. I heard Seth Greenberg say 2 minutes before the game, he told Bill Self that he wasn't going to play. I just think, I don't know, man. It's a weird situation. I think to me, the number one thing is I think it's been long overdue to hear from him. I've listened to you do the afternoon show, and I think you've been talking about that for weeks. Like, we need to hear from him. And after the Oklahoma State game, I was like, they need to run a trainer and him out here to tell us exactly what the hell is going on, because Bill Self being left up to do it, that's just not working. But no, man, it's just a crazy situation, frustrating all around. And I don't know about you. I don't just come at it immediately thinking the absolute worst, because some of it doesn't make sense. Like, if it was just about the money or saving himself, why would he even play? But I feel like a lot of people are running into this story and immediately coming in thinking the absolute worst. I think there is something to talk about. I think this is excessive and it is not usual, but it does feel like people are coming in with just the absolute worst in their minds from this kid.
I'll get you out of here with this last thing. We were kicking this around as a group. This is a football question. We had our big breaking news during the coaching cycle. The Ravens firing their head coach was a big breaking news story. I'm sure you guys covered it on your show. Buffalo making the decision to move on from their head coach was a big breaking news story. Everybody in the NFL is talking about it. We haven't had that yet from a player perspective this offseason in the National Football League. I'm looking at A.J. Brown's trade being that first domino to fall. I think he's getting traded here immediately after the combine. I think once everybody leaves Indianapolis, I think there's going to be a conversation that's going to be had in Indy that we're going to find out about, that the Eagles have just finally determined this is not going to work anymore. They're shopping him around. They're seeing what his value is. And there's going to be a team like Buffalo, like New England, like Denver in the AFC that desperately needs a wide receiver that is willing to trade a second-round pick for A.J. Brown. That's the first domino I think is going to fall. What do you think it is?
Maybe. I mean, I guess it is a domino, but it's one that I just it's almost like, oh, Tyreek Hill, who's he going to play for next year? Oh, I don't know, the Chiefs. It's almost like one that is expected, right? So it is a domino. For me, my thinking is Max Crosby. I think Max Crosby potentially to the Bears. That to me is a big one where I know A.J. Brown's going to get traded. That minute that man A.J. Brown went on with Julian Edelman and them and did the wink thing when they said, "Are you a Patriot?" and then Nick Sirianni follows it up with, "I don't know if he's going to be on the team next year." I mean, that was all she wrote. Max Crosby is the one to me that would be a big one, because I think it changes really everything. So AJ, I expect. Max Crosby, I don't think is going to be a Raider. I think that's going to be the huge one, because I think it may change a lot of how the league looks.
That is our guy, Ron the Show Hughley. He does fantastic work out of Houston. He is their afternoon host. He's one of my favorite sports talk hosts in the country. Ron, man, it was great to talk sports with you this morning, man. Appreciate you.
All right, man.
Absolutely. That is Ron the Show Hughley joining us on the show. Coming up on the other side, I want to tell you guys a quick personal story about myself so you guys can get to know me a little bit better as I'm filling in for Nick Costos. You are listening to You Better You Bet.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
I'll tell you guys a real quick story before we're joined by Nick Friedel. I love the movie Miracle. You know the scene where the United States are kind of goofing off in an Olympic kind of scrimmage, and he makes them do the suicides right at the end of the game, and he's just like, again, because he wants them to understand that it's about the name on the back of the jersey or the front of the jersey and not the name on the back of the jersey. Gets me every single time. So I'm telling you this because, the United States, they won gold medal. It's the first time they won since 1980. Viewership of the movie jumped up 300% on Disney Plus over the past month. On Sunday, it was up 21 times the amount of a normal Sunday on Disney Plus. Some people were getting a chance to see Miracle for the first time. I wish I could go back in time and I could watch the movie Miracle again for the first time. Just an incredible 2 thumbs up film. I made a small list for you guys that we'll go through about my favorite Disney sports movies. And yes, Motocross will be on the list because Motocross walked so She's the Man could run, and that's very important here. Let's go to the phone lines right now. We are joined by our Odyssey Sports NBA insider, Nick Friedel. Our insider calls are brought to you by Hyundai and the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. Nick, before we move on, because we got a lot to talk about, what is your favorite Disney sports movie?
Remember the Titans. I mean, Carrington, I'm with you on Miracle. I loved it, but I'm a Denzel guy. Every time I see Remember the Titans on a plane, I'm ready to go get off that thing and start running somewhere. So for me, that one's it.
One of my really good friends just let us know in our group chat a couple of weeks ago that it was their first time seeing Remember the Titans. And I'm telling you that I've never seen close friends ridicule one person to the extent that it took you 22 years to finally watch Remember the Titans. Like, I was wondering, how have we connected for this long if you have never seen this movie before?
I mean, you should get kicked out of the group chat if it's taking that long to watch
100%.
Remember the Titans. Come on now, 22 years. That guy, he needs to be doing something else movie time wise. I mean, that is rough. I feel like every single one of my friends, whether they were into football or not, they watched that one for sure.
100%. It's one of those movies that just everybody has seen. Like, there's a list of like 10 movies: Goodfellas, Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump. Like, all men have seen that movie. Remember the Titans is one of those kind of movies. All right, there's a couple of NBA stories that I want to get your thoughts on. Let's start with this first thing is we just have to accept what the Lakers are. The Lakers are just a good story. They are a reality TV show. This is not Breaking Bad. This isn't The Wire. This isn't Sopranos. This isn't like one of those shows that are going to stick to your ribs. This is House Hunter. This is Pawn Stars. This is just something you do to pass the time. That's kind of how I look at this Lakers team. I mean, for you to lose to a team that had Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, Mark Williams, Colin Gillespie, and Jalen Green, and Grayson Allen, for you to lose to that team, why are we talking about you the same way that we talk about the Knicks or the Spurs or the Pistons? You're not serious.
Well, because they get the ratings is the answer, and they get the clicks and the interest. But you're absolutely spot on, because when you watch the Lakers, you don't see a team that's a legit contender. You see a team that just feeds into the beast every day. And people are used to following and being around the LeBron show, and now you add in Luka, and they have star power, but they don't have a real chance. And I still go back to the beginning of the year. I cannot believe all the people that are like, no, the Lakers can be a real contender. Really? This team right now, they're not good enough. It seems like things are fraying when you watch them on the floor, maybe behind the scenes. This Lakers team, people aren't going to take their eyes off of them because they're a name brand and they are invested in the story. But absolutely, it's a reality show every night because you're waiting to see some kind of blow up happen somewhere. And if they keep losing games and they fall into the play-in, and now they don't even get into the Western Conference playoffs, possibly, yikes for what's going on out west.
Yeah, to me, you kind of have to look at the makeup of a team. And if we're just going down the list, The number one player on their team is a epic complainer. Their second best player is a 41-year-old who is contemplating retirement. I like Austin Reeves, but he's a traffic cone on defense, and their big guy doesn't accept the role that he is. He's a rim defender, catch alley-oop guy. He really should be Clint Capella, but he doesn't want to be Clint Capella. Like, this is just not a team where the parts all match together.
100%. And I think they're going to really have to go back to trying to build this correctly, no matter what the hell LeBron decides. And Carrington, the way things are going, I'd still be surprised if LeBron, who loves the attention and loves having everybody talk about what's going on, if he walks after this season. That's kind of where I started the year, was that this was going to be it for LeBron. But now I just don't see how he's not going to want the retirement tour and everybody to give him all the applause and all the compliments in stop by stop next season. So whether it's LA, Cleveland, somewhere else, we'll see. But this team it feels like a bunch of puzzle pieces that don't fit together. And when you have a group that's around Luka, and Luka's not getting it done as the star, you're going to have a group that is going to change a lot of its pieces, it feels like, this summer. So Rob Pelinka and that group have a lot of work to do. But when you watch them right now, it just feels like it doesn't fit. And when it doesn't fit, the star usually makes their voice heard, and they find a way to switch out whatever's around them.
Right now, we're talking to Nick Friedel. Our insider calls are brought to you by Hyundai and the all-new Hyundai Palisade. Learn how to make every day epic over at HyundaiUSA.com. Happy to be talking NBA with Nick Friedel. So we were kind of having some fun with this earlier, and I'm interested to get your thoughts on it. So I'm filling in for Nick Costos on You Bet or You Bet, and they told me that I needed to have a bet ready. So I'm going through the apps, and I'm scouring it, and then I get to the Eastern Conference, and I'll go to, hey, who's the favorite in the East? I'm curious. And then I saw Cleveland was the favorite in the East. And I'm like, no, this can't be right. You're telling me a team with people think the team with James Harden is going to make a deep run in the postseason? None of this makes sense. If you gave me a free bet right now, you gave me a $100 free bet on BetMGM and said place a wager on it, I'm placing it on the Boston Celtics. I think Jason Tatum's coming back at some point here in the next month or so, and they're also battle-tested. One thing I think is super important in the NBA playoffs is you got to go through it at some point. So I like Detroit, but to me, Detroit is probably more of a contending team for next year than they are for this year's team. But I cannot believe under any circumstances people are trying to sell me that James Harden is going to help take a team to the NBA Finals. That doesn't seem realistic.
Having watched and lived through the James Harden experience in Brooklyn day to day, and then watched it from a distance in Houston and seeing what's happened with the Sixers and the Clippers, Carrington, I couldn't possibly agree with you anymore on Harden. When you have Harden lighting things up in February and March, everybody loves to go, oh, James Harden, he can be a difference maker. How many times do we have to watch the same story play out, though? When the biggest games are ready to happen, there are times when Harden can drop 40, and there are times when Harden can have 6 and disappear. It's happened year after year, game after game. So when the Cavs made that move, I went, okay, well, this is just about it for Cleveland. I'm not buying a team with Harden, and as good as Mitchell has been at times, they've just never gotten over the hump in the postseason. I don't believe that starts now. If you were taking a flyer on anything, I would go into the Eastern Conference and I would say, okay, take your pick. And in your case, it's Boston. I think they're very, very well coached. That ball moves all over the place. Joe Mazzulla has those guys knowing where to be, and Jaylen Brown absolutely is playing really well without Tatum this season. Where I get concerned if you're a Celtics fan is if you're trying to bring Tatum back and get him in rhythm while the rest of the team already is in rhythm, that's where I'd be a little scared, especially coming off an injury as severe as his was. But that team knows where to be, and they play well around each other. So I'm with you on Detroit. I think it takes time in the playoffs to get there. I've never been a believer in Karl Anthony Towns, especially as a piece you need in the playoffs. But the Knicks do have Jalen Brunson, and it does feel like they're going to at least have their moment. Whether or not they can get all the way there, we'll see. But the East is completely wide open. I just couldn't agree more that if I were to put my money somewhere, it certainly wouldn't be on Cleveland.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Knicks, because I always hate, or I usually hate college football is better when Notre Dame is good. No, I mean, it's okay when Notre Dame's not good, but the NBA is a better, more enjoyable product when the Knicks are viable. When Madison Square Garden is rocking and that fan base believes they got a team that can win, the NBA is it is a fun, enjoyable product. I want to see the Knicks make a run. But to what you were saying, your best player is 6'1". That usually is not a recipe to win a championship. And your big is Karl Anthony Towns, that at times he wants to be a guard, but is in a 7-foot body, wants to step out. It just, I'm not sure if you can win a championship if those are your two best players. What do you see as the ceiling for this Knicks team? How confident are you in their ability to come out of the East?
Not very. But as we're having this conversation, there is no team that I feel great about in the East, which is why I understand where you're coming from with the Boston pick. As far as the Knicks go, I hold to this since the end of the summer. You built that team around Tom Thibodeau. You built Tom Thibodeau's dream team with how guys were wired and how they played, and then you fired Tibbs, which, hey, I lived it in Chicago and in Minnesota. He wears on players. The runway gets a lot shorter as the years go by. It's a tougher system. I understand. But you built that team and you picked those players because of the coach, and then you flipped out the coach. So count me as somebody who's going to need to see the parade going down the streets of New York City before I believe that the Knicks can get there, whether it's Mike Brown or anybody else. I think that the ceiling for the Knicks is the finals, in an Eastern Conference that just doesn't have that team right now where you go, oh, yeah, they're just a cut above everybody else. The problem is the West has the Thunder, and they have the Spurs, and they have somebody else who could make a jump coming into the next few months here. Carrington, I think that the Thunder are just a little bit better than everybody else still. I know that the Spurs have gotten a lot more hype recently. Wemby is a unique player, somebody we have not seen at all before. I just don't think you can make that large of a leap and get all the way through the West and then get in the finals and win it. So from where I sit now, it's still the Thunder. And in the East, unless the Thunder get an injury to somebody like SGA, I really don't care who's there. I think Oklahoma City is just better up top, and they're deeper all the way through.
That was our Odyssey Sports NBA insider, Nick Friedel. Our insider calls are brought to you by Hyundai and the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. Nick, great stuff, man. We'll catch up with you closer to the NBA playoffs.
You got it. Good to be with you.
Absolutely. That is Nick Friedel joining us on the show today. Happy to talk a little bit of NBA with him. Before we step aside, I want to go back to what we were talking about just before we were joined by Nick Friedel. So the movie Miracle, which came out in 2004, it is on Disney+. Over the last 30 days, it has seen a 300% increase in viewership on Disney+. Olympic hockey, the United States won the gold medal. On Sunday, it saw 21 times more viewership than it would on a normal Sunday. People wake up, America wins the gold medal. You now know there's a movie about the last time they won the gold medal. People went crazy. Now, I wish I could go back and I could see Miracle for the first time. I remember the first time I saw it. I saw it at a little movie theater in Lee Summit, Missouri, East Glen. Me and my friend Ryan McLaren, we went to go see this movie. Oh, it was beautiful. So before we sign off for this segment, I want to tell you guys a couple of my favorite Disney sports movies. And for the sake of this, fellas, I'm removing Remember the Titans because we all love Remember the Titans. I'm going to really challenge you here. I'm going to really show you that I know ball, as the kids say, Tyler. Now, I'm counting this movie even if nobody else wants to count it. There was a movie called Motocross that was a Disney original movie. And for those of you that remember, the Disney original movies, they were stop whatever you are doing. Stop everything you are doing, and I'm tuned into the Disney original. Now, we know the theme of this movie. It was a boy. It was the brother. The brother gets hurt. Now he can't race and can't compete, but he's got a twin sister that dresses up like one of the guys and learns how to be a racer. Oh, it was an incredible movie. 2 thumbs up. I love Motocross. I'm telling you, this movie walked so She's the Man could run. It's a better version of She's the Man, if you ask me. Motocross, a Disney original classic. Another movie I want to highlight in this as a Disney favorite that I have. I think some people consider the sequel to be better, and I'm not mad if you think that. I love The Mighty Ducks. Just an age-old story. A man hard out on his luck, and through youth sports, turns his life around. I mean, Emilio Estevez, he was headed nowhere. It's absolutely, Coach Bombay was headed nowhere. He was a drunk. But you know what? Through hard work and youth hockey, turned his life around. The Mighty Ducks. I love the movie Angels in the Outfield. I don't think Angels in the Outfield gets nearly enough credit. People talk about Rookie of the Year. No, Angels in the Outfield. When he makes that deal with his dad, that if the Angels win the pennant, his dad's going to go get him. And then the Angels are having an incredible season. And he's sitting there and he's crying to his dad about, why can't I go home with you? Oh, it gets me every single time. And then he hates baseball. And then he turns around and he loves baseball. And he gets up and he has everybody flapping their wings, believing in one another, turning things around. Angels in the Outfield, a Disney movie sports classic. Glory Road. I love Glory Road. I don't know what it is about Glory Road. It's the basic sports movie premise. It really is. It doesn't reinvent but there's something about it. I like the cast. I like the head coach. He just wants to play good fundamental basketball, which, by the way, they were playing it, looked incredibly boring. He then has this idea. You know what? I just been using regular salt and pepper this entire time. There's other spices I can use. He sprinkles some of that Mrs. Dash, some of that Zatarans on basketball, changes the game forever. Glory Road, that's my kind of movie. The last movie I want to tell you about, I have only cried one time during a movie. I'm not really an emotional individual. I cried one time during a movie. Now, I don't know what it was, but I remember back in 2020, I remember feeling like we were never going to go outside again. There was a 3-day stretch, and we all had like a form of COVID depression. I was just sitting there, and I was thinking, I'll never see my friends again. I'm just going to be in this house by myself for the rest of the year. And it had me sad. So I was in you know what, man, we might not have football. So I turned on Disney Plus and I turned on the movie Invincible. And that scene at the end of the movie, when he forces the fumble and he picks up the fumble and he runs and scores a touchdown and he points to his friends who had terrible seats, by the way. His friends were in 424 row PP. And he points up there to his friends and he scored the touchdown. It broke me down. I got emotional at that moment. I didn't like Viola Davis ugly cry. I did shed a tear. I shed a tear. I was so happy. I loved football at that moment more than I'd ever loved football. I missed my friends more. I had just seen them 4 days before. I had never missed my friends in that moment more. I love the movie Invincible. Everything he had to overcome. That's my favorite Disney sports movie. I know you're going to say Remember the Titans. My favorite Disney sports movie is Invincible, with Mark Wahlberg, Elizabeth Smart. It's a story of triumph. It's a story of never give up. You're not too old for your dreams. Sure, you're 42 years old. You can still play in the NBA. If Vince Papale can do it, you can do it too. As we are celebrating the men's Olympics team winning their first gold medal in hockey since 1980, I want to tell you guys my 5 Disney sports movies, and motocross. Motocross is number 2. Miracle's number 1. Invincible's number 2. Motocross is 3. That's my top 3. I'm a huge fan of the movie Motocross. We'll wrap things up here. You were listening to You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Let me tell you guys, there's no better place during March matchups to be than Vegas. This year, college basketball fans, you can win an MVP trip to the Court of Legends event featuring the Cavender twins. Simply play sports bets, and your position on the leaderboard will determine if you will win one of the 25 grand prize packages. All you need to do is sign into your BetMGM account, opt into the promotion, then start placing sports bets of at least $10 to climb up the leaderboards. Make this March one to remember. Join the Court of Legends leaderboard and make it legendary. I want to get you guys out of here with this, and we can just quickly go around the room. Bill, I'd like to ask you this first. So I am on Jimmy Johnson's Twitter account. I had no clue that Jimmy Johnson had a Twitter account. On his Twitter account, he has a picture with the singing group Boyz II Men. And it said, I enjoyed having Boyz II Men to the house for a fun day of watching football. What football were they watching yesterday? You think that Jimmy Johnson and Boyz II Men are just sitting back and watching 90s Cowboys games? Or is this an old picture that he just forgot to tweet? And maybe this was supposed to come out on January 17th, but he accidentally just set the thing ahead and now it came out in February. What football was he having people over to the house to watch?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but hey, Jimmy's like 80 years old. He's on social media. Cut the guy a break. He's trying to be hip. He's trying to stay on it. Yeah, there may have been an accidental scheduled tweet, or perhaps it got stuck in drafts. I don't know what happened to poor Jimmy, but yeah, I don't think he was watching football unless they were watching the Cowboys documentary, but I don't think he needed to see Jerry patting himself on the back. So I'm not sure how much he watched on that one.
I'm sitting here looking at it. He's holding a Heineken bottle. They're standing in front of a Little Caesars ad. I mean, it sounds like they had all the stuff ready to go. Do you think he was inviting people over to watch the Combine? Do you think that Jimmy Johnson and the guys who sing Motown Philly, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye, do you think they're sitting down and they're watching D. Lyman run the 40?
If they are, God bless them. I mean, I love the Combine for the rumors and the content that comes out, but I've never been a guy that can just sit down and watch drills. If you're interested in players, all those drills are on social media now, man. I can't watch that broadcast.
There's a couple of things that I've learned that just show me that people love football more than I love football. Like, if you're willing to stand outside in the cold to watch football, you love it more than I do. It's on television. Like, I can easily sit at home and be completely warm and watch the same game that you were watching. Why would you sign up to go outside? You love football more than I watch. If you love football enough to sit down and watch offensive linemen run 40 yards, you just love football more than I love it. That's not part of my life. I don't want to do that. You tell me how fast they ran, what it means, and then we can talk about it. But I'm not sitting down and watching it. Jimmy Johnson had a Combine watch party. Maybe he's on to something. Maybe he's got something going on. I had a lot of fun today filling in for Nick Costos. Hopefully they invite me back. I know I only played 35 minutes today, but I really pushed through and I did the best that I could. I appreciate everybody helping behind the scenes with the show. Nick will be back on Monday. Take care of yourself. You're listening to You Better You Bet.